here at HIMSS17 talking with Chuck Spurr, who is the CIO of Shields Healthcare. Chuck, thanks so much for speaking with us today, talking about collaboration and technology and the crucial relationship that actually flows both ways that exists between those two things.
Collaboration is the key. You need some sort of agent to facilitate that collaboration. For us, we use Six Sigma as our facilitation agent. But if you don't have the collaboration doing things in silos, and especially in the software world, and the pressures that are run on the different silos, if you put software to one silo, you're only going to get that answer. So you have to look at across silos.
Right. Silos are something we hear a lot about when we talk about interoperability. And ironically, what you hear a lot about is breaking them down. So talk about how interoperability figures into the relationship that we just talked about.
Absolutely. So in any software product you have the answer, but you have to put the answer in an actionable format. So that means you're moving that data and that answer across systems. So you're going to make sure that that data flows across all the different systems. So you can't have somebody to expect to have an answer in one system and then go to that system. No, they're going to be working out of their exact system, so you're going to make sure it flows across all the systems.
What are the challenges in making sure that that flow can actually happen?
A lot of challenges, especially around the fact that you want to make sure that the answer is correct all the way through. But you also have all the vendor responsibilities and the different vendor issues that happen. So you're going to make sure that you have all the products going across. And that's always been a challenge, especially when you're talking about closed systems. You know, the Epics of the world, they're a closed system. So you have to figure a way to work around that. So you might have to build, add-ons to the system so you can make sure that they do flow across.
I was just going to ask you, what are, when we talk about the challenges to helping that data flow, what in your view are the answers? How do you make that happen?
Yeah, it's usually you have to find an add-on. I mean, all these systems do talk. They usually have an HL7 engine, so you're able to do that. But you have to be smart about it. You have to figure out what are the bolt-ons that you're going to need to make sure that it facilitates it. And those bolt-ons are at a bigger system and a smaller system. These bolt-ons may be at a tablet level, they may be at a phone level. So you're going to make sure that they flow in all the systems, because you've got to put the information, that answer, if you will, in the hands of the people who need it when they need it.
Cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity is perfect.
Yeah, that's got to be a pretty big share of what's on your plate.
Oh, absolutely.
These days. Talk about how that has risen up in terms of your pie chart of what you're concerned with. How has that share changed?
Sure. It used to be that the data in the healthcare world was sort of that second tier. People weren't really going after it. But now people are going after it a lot harder, a lot faster. It's no longer just a social security. No, it's the entire medical record that they really want. Right. So now you got to protect yourself completely. And now we're moving into telemedicine and other things, and we're expanding all our tools out. So as we expand our tool out, we're expanding our risk, which really gets very difficult. So you have to look at the entire package, and it's much more complicated than it was 5 years ago.
Does interoperability actually create additional challenges? We talk about all the good it can do, and it certainly, absolutely it does. But what challenges does that create in terms of what you do and what you're concerned with?
Absolutely. As you're flowing that information across systems, now you have multiple systems and multiple handoffs, and some may be secure and some may not be secure. So you have to take a look at the entire process. When you're layering your security over that, you have to cover everything, not just your EMR or the one main system you have to cover through all the ancillary systems as well.
Is there collaboration then in that score of making it flow, but making it flow safely?
Absolutely.
Where does the collaboration happen there?
Absolutely, because again, you get this great iPad app, really works great, but you didn't put the security around it, you're giving yourself a real exposure. So you have to make sure that people understand that the data is the key going across all the systems, the answer is the key if you want to think of it that way. So you've got to make sure that you collaborate and explain to people, hey, now moving to another phase of the data, you're going to make sure that that data is secure, safe, ready to go, and ready to go to the next step.
And let's just touch on Six Sigma again, because I know that's
Sure.
actually, that's a point of interest for both of our publications. Talk about how the Six Sigma product influences what you do.
So Six Sigma is our change agent. That was a thing that we did. And we're not zealots when it comes to Six Sigma. We boiled it down to the key elements that we needed to do. There's a lot in Six Sigma. But from a healthcare perspective, there's really 4 things you want to grab out of it. It tells you where you're going. It makes you look at really where you're at. It allows you to make quick changes, and then you measure changes. All wrapped around that is the data. And it's the old saying in the mafia, it's not personal, it's just business. Well, for Six Sigma, it's just the data. So you let the data drive you, which is a real great thing when you're looking at a change agent.
And you talked about measuring, last question, you talked about measuring. It's so important to be able to do that. You can have all the data in the world, all the great innovation in the world, but if you can't measure the effect of it, if that's not an inherent part of the operation, then really what good does it do? Let's talk about the measurement aspect of that.
Absolutely, that gets into that first part was saying, really knowing where you're at. So you have to have, what your X of denials or X of bad debt. You need to know really specific what you're doing. And then when you make your change, you're seeing if the needle moves. If the needle moves, that's awesome. If it doesn't move and it moves in the wrong direction, that's okay too. Now you know what's going on. So you can react pretty quickly to it. So measures are key.
Chuck, thank you so much for spending some time with us today and speaking with us. You've been watching HIMSS17 TV.